Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG beta tester. It's been a little while since we've done one of those PMDG updates and a lot has happened in the meantime. Now with Flight Simulator 2024 around, we surely did have a lot of things to focus on, a lot of lovely flights to go through, so PMDG did fall a little bit short here, but I want to bring you all up to date as to what is happening with PMDG in regards to Flight Simulator 2024, the 777-200ER, and last but not least, the upcoming Boeing 747. Now, on the 15th of February, Robert Randazzo has posted a brand new update on the forums, which basically brings us up to date on all of those items. So I think the easiest way to go over this is just to have a look at what Robert has posted. And I'm going to start with the 747 because that one has a couple of lovely new pictures included that we absolutely want to show you. So, as always, I am quoting Robert Randazzo on this one, so if you hear the term I, then it is always written from his perspective. So, while everything else at PMDG has been in some state of flux made, work on the 747 fleet has been accelerating, and yeah, he made that up from the words flux plus stalemate, meaning as much as things are changing but so slowly that it appears nothing is happening, and it's his own word. Okay. 747-400 images will come later. She still isn't quite ready to be seen, but like her older sister the 100, they are planning to give you glimpses into the progression of things as she works through development. Most of the work over the past few weeks has been on the classic whale side of the hangar, with detailing of the flight deck panels beginning to move rapidly, with labeling, backlighting, and the beginning of the lengthy process of adding photorealistic detailing and wear on the various panel surfaces. You can see in the two images that we have added all of the labeling, including the backlit details, and while texturing is pretty basic at this juncture, some small pieces of the panel are beginning to get increased detail, which will grow throughout the entire flight deck as development progresses. On another note, on the images, none of the cockpit surroundings, the area not on the panel face itself, have been textured yet. They have a base texture color on them, just to give them some basic color, but for the most part what you're seeing is extremely low resolution texture that will remain in place until the 3D geometry is completed and ready for high detail texturing. Coding on the backside of the panel is progressing. We are taking advantage of some of the slow periods on other projects to move developers on and off the 747 line to keep it moving forward at the best rate possible, even with other workload items on our agenda. Now, these are the two images that have been posted with the latest update, and we can really see how the 747 is coming along really nicely. Remember, there were some little bit older images from a couple of weeks ago, like this one, where the panel did look pretty good, especially the mood of the lighting over there, but there weren't any textures on there just yet, or at least no text, and this has now all been added. Now I can say from personal experience here that I did do a cockpit remake of the Aerosoft Airbuses like 10 years ago and added all the text in high resolution, which took me a couple of weeks of work, almost full-time on it, so this is really good progress that we're seeing over here. And what I find really interesting looking at those images is how you can tell that a lot of the things that we know from the modern jets are actually there, just like this, in the older ones. So let's take a look at the top and middle of the panel. That's going to be our bleed air panel and some of the ventilation there. So that's the one with all of those switches that are horizontally aligned at the moment. You can see how each of the engines has its own bleed valve over there, and then you have a couple of cross bleed valves feeding the three packs. Now, if you think about the overhead panel of the newer 747-400s or -8, you can see that's actually more or less the same thing. It just looks more complicated. It justifies another pilot's salary. Likewise, we have the second image over here that's also from a couple of weeks ago that showed the lighting again really well, but still was without all those textures. So now let's move forward to the topic that most of you are probably waiting for, the 777-200ER. Well, I'm joking, we're gonna get to FS24 first. So, Flight Simulator 2024. Let's start with the Boeing 777. Quoting Robert again. During the past few weeks, we have been working with the 777 in MSFS 2024, and here is our current viewpoint. We have been using the MSFS 2024 SDK to build the 777-300ER, 777 Freighter, and 777-200ER inside MSFS 2024 with a high degree of success. We have had a few intermittent, non-repeatable issues that caused the entire cockpit to cease updating, and for that reason we are still not entirely comfortable with all of the platform-side issues have been resolved completely. Work continues to push the airplane harder in Sim to see if we can rule in or rule out problems with the very latest SU1 beta update, and if we are being candid, all of us were quietly pleased to hear that MS Asobo have elected to hold the SU1 update a bit longer, as stability for WASM-based products is obviously extremely important to PMDG. At this moment, I would describe my confidence in the PMDG MSFS 2024 combination as strong and growing. I'm still laying awake at night, terrified that some last-minute change in the SU1 release profile might break our products, and this is why we continue to refrain from estimating release dates or promising a release concurrent with the SU1 update rollout. We are aware that the exciting MSFS 2020 versions do work for some customers in MSFS 2024, but we know for a fact that these customers are effectively playing with the fuse lit, and eventually some known instabilities between 2020 and 2024 versions will bite you. This is why we are building the 2024 versions using the 2024 SDK, and you will eventually want to use them once we get them released to you. Quote end. Adding a little bit of my personal experience over there, I did of course try to copy the PMDG products over to the new sim to see if they would work. And, well, while I did try that, unfortunately, things turned out rather unlucky for me personally, in that the aircraft basically froze up on the first loading and ever thereafter just froze up immediately again. So, that's exactly the kind of WASM and stability issues that Robert is talking about that are hopefully going to be solved when the Sim Update 1 is going to release. Now, we will see about that. We will also have to see about the newly built versions with the 2024 SDK, and you can be sure that as soon as a possible NDA is lifted, I will get you guys up to date on what's going on with the aircraft in the new simulator. Now let's move on to the PMDG 737 in the new simulator. Quoting Rob again, "We are not yet evaluating the 737NG in MSFS 2024 as we are using the 777 as a learning tool. Once we begin pushing the 777s into MSFS 2024, we will direct attention to the 737. The 737 in MSFS 2024 will be getting a number of new features as part of a normal midlife update for that product line, but the exact sequence and rollout timelines won't be known with any clarity until we have the 777s off our plate. We are moving as quickly as progress allows." Quote end. So over here, it is worth adding that in the past, Rob has issued an update where he announced that the 737 is going to get quite a lot of new details, in that they are doing some new sound modeling for the aircraft, they are doing some new modeling in the cabin. We are finally going to get that opening cockpit door, and I can personally promise that I'm still pushing to opening flight deck windows as well. So, that much about the 777 and 737. Then let's go on to the 777-200ER, which has entered beta testing. Let's quote Robert. "Overnight, last night, we finally got the 777-200ER into beta testing. This product includes all three core engines variant for the 777-200ER, which will give you a choice between General Electric, Rolls-Royce and Pratt & Whitney types, along with correct and proper performance, indications and sound. This package has taken a bit of time, as it is no small task to bring a new engine model into the sim, so we have been taking our time to ensure it all comes together nicely. Along with the 200ER comes a multitude of options that are unique to the 200ER type, but as I have been flying it around in testing these past few weeks, what strikes me most is how different the performance is on these airplanes compared to the much more powerful 777 Freighter and 300ER types. The differences is quite obvious in flight, and it makes the product line very interesting to experience firsthand. We are not projecting a timeline for beta testing at this juncture, but I suspect I will have a better feel for the qualitative state of the 200ER in the next 7 to 10 days. The 200ER is expected to release initially in MSFS 2020 and will then be released in MSFS 2024. Quote end. So that's very good news, seeing the 200ER entering beta testing and seeing that all three engine models are going to be modeled together with their respective sounds. Now, last but not least, there is one more topic that's worth mentioning at this point, and that is the PMDG Operations Center 3.0. Quote, concurrent with the 200ER going into beta testing, we have also put the PMDG Operations Center 3.0 into beta testing. This project has been quietly proliferating in the background during the past year and will be the successor to the PMDG Operations Center 2.0, which has been in use now for 7 and more years. OC3 includes a fresh modern interface, the ability to manage all of your product installations from within the application, management of updates, change lists, rollbacks should it be needed, as well as multiple channels of distribution for stable, experimental, beta, and streamer previews. OC3 will handle activation and authorization of licensed products, install rights, and also give us the ability to help you diagnose and resolve problems you might be having with your PMDG product in a simple, easy-to-use application that we think will greatly simplify your experience with PMDG products. One of my favorite aspects of all this is that the eventual rollout of OC3 will eliminate the need for installers with our MSFS product lines, which also removes some of the choke points that tended to get stressed during major release periods. OC3 will roll out soon, you know what that means, and will operate alongside existing methods until we are comfortable cutting over products in an orderly fashion in order to ensure no service disruptions to you. Eventually all of your PMDG products will be managed via OC3, and we really think you'll like leaping into the present from our existing OC2 technology. Quote end. So there we have it, guys. That's the latest PMDG update from the 15th of February. Lots of lovely information on the different aircraft types across the fleet. Lovely to see a couple of new Boeing 747 images. And most exciting to hear that the 200ER is going into beta testing now, so that you'll hopefully get the next favorite type of the 777 very, very soon. I do hope you all enjoyed this little preview. Be sure to leave your comments on it in the comment section beneath the video, but remember, if you want PMDG officially to read any of that, be sure to put it into their forums, as I will link the original thread where you can read up on all this and view the images in their original full-scale resolution, which I can very much recommend since YouTube is somewhat downscaling everything. So be sure to check that out. As always, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'm really looking forward to see you all again with some exciting new aircraft soon. Thank you very much, and see you again soon.